Hi again, everybody, and welcome back to Sewing with Mom. Once again, I'm Nicole, not Mom, but hey. This is part 2 of the sew along for the Butterick B6418. We're going to be doing top A, which is this one here. So the last video, we cut out the pattern, we read our instructions, and just kind of went over it. So now we're actually going to piece it together and sew it. And yeah, here we go. So these are our instructions. The first thing that we need to do is stitch the lower edge of the front yoke, which is the contrast fabric, to the edge of front of the shirt, which is number 2. So welcome back. So I have this all pinned up, as you can see. I'm going to give this a quick stitch. Just so you guys know, I am using the Brother SQ9285 computerized sewing machine. If you're following along on the same machine, I'm using the number 5 stitch, which is a zigzag with a J foot. And then my stitch length is 1.4, the width is 1.5. I already tested my stitch on some scrap fabric, the same materials, to see how it would look. It's very important. I learned this the hard way. If you are just starting to sew, always test your fabric, test your stitch, because no two fabrics are the same. This is a knit fabric, so that's why I'm using the zigzag. I want to make sure I have all this lined up, and we are going to stitch it to a 5/8 seam allowance. Another thing that's very important, to line it up. You have your little ruler grade here, and you don't have to really worry about a back stitch on a zigzag from what I've noticed. I could be wrong, but that's my opinion. And yeah, so here we go. Also, hold on to your threads on the back so you get a couple of stitches going, because if not, your fabric will wind up getting caught into the feet when you're sewing with the knit like this. Another thing that's very important, you don't need to be watching the needle. You need to watch the ruler here, your little guide. And if you have a hard time keeping an eye on the guide, you can use rubber bands or painter's tape to make that line a little bit more visible so you can see it easier. But your needle is always going to go straight. Your material is what you need to be watching on the guide. And it's important that you keep your fabric straight, which is the opposite of what I'm doing right here. But keep your fabric straight and don't pull on it, because if you pull on it like this, you're going to get waves. So just try not to put any pressure when you sew this. And this is my first time ever making a top, so we're going to figure this one out together and see how it comes out. I make no promises. Big on me. But it looks pretty good. You're supposed to iron the little flap in here, but this is a really thin knit. I don't think it needs it. I'm going to stitch it together here at the little strap at the top, like this. And then we're going to come down, if I can get it, and sew the sides together, like this. So I am once again going to go ahead and pin this up, and I will meet you back at the machine. Well, anyway, we pinned the tops, and then I also pinned the sides together as best as I could. Again, this is my first time making a blouse. So far, I've mastered skirts and dresses. And when I say dresses, I mean house dresses, just in case you were wondering. So, not professional yet, but we are working toward it. I also mastered this pin cushion out of scraps. So, I am going to sew this anyway. I know it's too big now that I see it like up and put together, but I'm still going to make it, and then I can always take it in. It's always better to have it too big than too small. And I saw from another creator on YouTube, which I thought was really interesting, that when you buy a pattern, you should plan to make it 3 times. The first time is like a test run. The second time, you have a better idea of how it fits. And by the 3rd time, you have it down pat. And I forgot her name, but she's really smart, and I like her. So if you know who it is, tag her in the comments. The main thing is just take your time, go slow, adjust your fabric and your pins. Again, don't look at your needle. Look at your little guide, your ruler guide. Try and keep your fabric matched up as best as possible. Okay, we are back from the sewing machine after multiple thread technical difficulties. So I don't know what is going on with my thread or why it keeps happening, but my thread keeps breaking. So yeah. So our front and backs are together now. Oops. I'm trying to put this up so you can actually see what it looks like on. Our front and backs are together now. I think this is still going to be a little too big, but we'll see. So now we need to hem the neck, which is a 5/8 of an inch narrow hem around the neckline. Sorry, didn't realize you could see. But that is step 7. So for top A, it goes from step 2 all the way to 4, and then the 7, which is where we're at now. So it wants me to do a narrow hem on the neck. Okay, so we're back. Let me adjust my camera here. There we go. Now we're going to sew this neckline. I'm doing it like really nearrow. I got to go really slow. I figured out what's going on with my thread, by the way. I need a new needle, but we're going to finish this off, and then I'll replace the needle for the next project. And so I just got to go really slow with it, so that way I make sure I keep everything even. And once again, this material is really cheapy, so it's getting stuck in the feet. If you have a heavier knit, you probably won't have this problem that I'm having, but this is like paper thin. I'm pressing the seams to the back, just a hand press. Mom would say press them to the front, but the pattern directions say press it to the back, so that's what we're going to do. And that's it. Just taking my time, going slow, making sure I have that thin little line all the way around. And also making sure not to stretch my fabric, because that is a big problem with this material, is if you stretch it, it gets really wavy and then it looks terrible. Okay, we're back. So the next thing that it wants us to do is to sew this little edge of the sleeve together. So we're going to do that on both sides. I will show you how to do that real quick. And again, 5/8 of an inch. Get our threads in the back here, needle down. And we're going to do the other one just like that, and we'll see. And good morning. It's been 3 days that I had to set this project to the side, and we're back, and we're going to finish it today. This is what happens when life gets in the way. So, we did the neckline, which I'm not happy with. I don't like the way it came out, so I'm actually going to redo that. But, Mom helped me pin one of the sleeves onto the blouse. I'm going to try it with the sleeves, and if I don't like it, I can always take them off. So this sleeve is pinned. I'll show you how to do the other one. She showed me how to do this one, so I can show you guys. First time doing a blouse. But what she said that's important is after you pin it, or when you start to pin it, whatever, it's important to put the sleeve back in to the little armhole, which is apparently easier said than done right now. There we go. And the reason why she said this is because it's going to be easier to sew it. So we're going to sew it like this instead of trying to finagle it. So we're going to do this. So the first thing, coming back, we had to sew this little side together here. And Mom put me a pin here so I can see what the center of the sleeve is. So we're going to lay out our shirt like that. Make sure you guys can see what I'm doing here. And then now we know that this little pin right here, you can see, goes here because that is the top. So now we're going to put another pin here because that's the bottom. I think I'm doing this right. If not, we can always take it off and put it back on. I use the seam ripper more than I care to talk about. So, trying to do this right-handed, I'm a lefty, and that's not really convenient. So that's our middle there. Now we've got the top middle and a bottom middle. So we're going to line it up. I'm going to slide this over a little bit. And we're going to put the first pin in. So, this top middle has got to go here where the sleeve is. I'm not great at pinning, and again, I'm kind of doing this backwards than the way that I normally would. Because, well, just doing this on the wrong side of the table, but it's okay. So now, we're going to get the bottom situated, right? And then we're going to put this sleeve, there we go. We're going to put this sleeve inside the shirt, like that. Okay, so now I've just got edges to work with, and we're going to line up and pin. As soon as I can line this up, this is easier said than done. I've still got a lot to figure out with sleeves here. As you can clearly see, I'm struggling. Why is this so weird? Okay, there. I'm going to pin this in wrong. So now I'm just going around. I'm going to pin it as best as I can and try and line this up. And Mom said if you have to stretch your fabric out a little bit, don't worry about it. It's okay. Just line it up as best as you can. So once again, I am by no means a professional at putting on a sleeve. This is my first time, which is why it's called Sewing with Mom, because this is a YouTube channel about my mother-in-law teaching me how to sew. So, just like I said, just know that I really don't know what I'm doing. Then we're going to put our pins in. Make sure they set flat, and that you're not making the material bunch or gather. I'm going to turn this around, and this is really hard to see because it's such a dark color, but it's very important that your edges line up. So this is the inside edge of the sleeve, inside edge of the shirt, right here. And as you can see, it is matching up perfectly, which is a good sign. Okay, so we're back at the sewing machine. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. I changed the stitch because this knit is so thin, it's kind of like puckering. I took the arm off of my sewing machine, as you can see. This is the arm that I'm talking about. It makes it a little bit easier for me when I'm like doing a hem or something. So I am still on a number 5, which is a zigzag stitch, but my stitch length is now a 2, and the width is a 3, and my tension is at 3.5. Again, I was having some problems with the thread because I need a new needle, but that is a problem for tomorrow. So real quick before we get started, I'm going to show you, this is the one that Mom did, and you can see how the pins are going vertical. And this is the one that I did, and you can see how the pins are going horizontal. It doesn't matter which way you do it, it's personal preference from what Mom says. It's just a little bit easier for me being left-handed to do the sideways pins versus the, well, I guess hers would be the sideways pins from this way. But Mom says it's easier for her because she's right-handed to do it this way. For me, because I'm left-handed, it's easier for me to do it this way. So it's personal preference. It all works the same. And you hear a vacuum cleaner, and that's okay. So now, Mom said we have to start at the bottom to match up our seams. So we're going to finagle this one more time. Some of her pins are coming out. But once again, that is A-okay. Take your pins out. Do not sew over your pins because it will pop your needle and you might get a needle in your eye, and nobody wants that. So now, I'm going to put my presser foot down just at a little bit of 5/8, a little bit over 5/8 of an inch, because, excuse me, the material isn't quite straight or even. So it's my fault. I did a really bad job cutting. I'm still practicing on cutting. So here we go. And just take your time while you're going and make sure your edges are lined up. If you're using this super thin knit like I am, it's very easy to get bumps. And it's like it wants to slide around the machine. It doesn't want to stay straight. So just keep that in mind. It's not the world's best fabric, but whatever, it's fine. Okay, so we did one side. I'm going to show you the other side now with the pins going vertical instead of horizontal. This is the side that I pinned. And hopefully it goes a little bit easier for me than the side that Mom pinned, because that was a little bit of a challenge there. Just kind of wish I had a little bit of a stiffer fabric to practice on. Something I learned, if you're starting to sew, like me, do not start with knits. I know knits are like optimal for clothing, but start with them because they're cotton. It's stiffer, it does not move around so much, it doesn't wave, and it's a lot more forgiving. So, if somebody ever tells you start with a knit fabric, they're lying. Don't do it. Start with a quilt. Sew a quilt or an apron. So that's what it looks like. Again, excuse my terrible cutting, but and then this is what the other side looks like. We're going to do the hem. Now on the hem, we're going to do a straight stitch because we're sewing the fabric the opposite way. And this particular fabric from the big box store, I'm just going to say the name, it's from Walmart. It does not sew well when you're sewing it the opposite way. It puckers and it's terrible. So most people, Mom likes to pin it. I'm not going to. I am, however, no, I think it's supposed to have that round bottom. Yeah, I'm not going to pin it. I'm just going to use the guide on my sewing machine. I seem to do okay with it. I don't usually have a problem with it. If you have a problem with it, then by all means, go ahead and pin. I'm going to start here at the middle inseam. And I'm just going to give it a quick fold over. I feel like this is kind of long. So I'm going to say that that's about a 1/2 inch of a hem, because I think it's just a little bit too long for me. You can leave it long if you're going to wear it with jeans or, you know, whatever. I am going to be wearing this with a skirt, so it's just a little bit too long for me. So I'm going to measure this up, and then we'll see where we're at here. So yeah, it's about 1 inch, I'd say. Get myself all situated, make sure my fabric is nice and straight, or as straight as possible. Needle down, very important. There we go. Okay, we are back. Blouse is done. So you can see that's what it looks like on the hanger. You have to excuse my modeling rack, but I do want to redo the neckline. I'm not happy with the way it came out. The bottom I think is fine because it's supposed to be, you know, one of those like longer in the back. The sleeve length, I didn't have the sleeves because I'm not sure what length I want to leave them. If I want them longer or shorter. And then this is what the back looks like. So all in all, not bad for my first blouse. I hope you enjoyed this sew along. If you do, please make sure to like and subscribe. Feel free to leave a comment. The next video we're going to be doing, I know I said it last time, but it's going to be a pattern haul to show you all of the patterns that we got from the Joann sale. And once again, that is my first sewn blouse, start to finish.